we cover up the body, do you think? I know it sounds silly, but it seems like the decent thing to do. If it makes you feel better. Jejeune understood that people reacted in their own way to death, and he knew the need to make a gesture, any gesture, to acknowledge the passing of a life was necessary for some. He was not one of them. It might have been supposed it was the frequent exposure of the sight of dead bodies that had hardened this response out of him, but he had felt this way for as long as he could remember. He felt deaths keenly, and they wounded him, but he knew that no gesture, no matter how sincere, could affect the unrelenting finality they represented. The shattering report of a shotgun echoed through the air, and Lindy's eyes widened in alarm. That sounded close. A shooting party. Jejeune pointed off into the distance. The Cleve estate borders this woodland. Don't worry. They're far enough away that they don't pose any danger. You know my rule on gunfire, Dom. If you can hear it, you're too close. The crows, stirred perhaps by other memories of shotgun blasts, had lifted silently from their perches and begun circling on outspread wings, like a host of black angels mourning the death in the clearing below them. Lindy looked down at the body. You don't think it had anything to do with this, do you? He shook his head. There's no blood, no evidence of any wounds. I don't think a shotgun was involved. I'm glad you don't go in for that, said Lindy, linking her arm in his, shooting things. Growing up where I did, it was all around me, said Jejeune. Moose, deer, even bears. Hunting is a part of the culture there. He shrugged. It just never appealed to me. So you never hunted then? Well, when I was a boy, before I knew any better. An uncle took Damien and me out once or twice. I fired at a couple of things, but I don't think I ever hit any of them. She looked at him now, staring into the sun-dappled clearing and past it into his memories. But the possibility that you might have done stays with you to this day, doesn't it? She thought. And that was the last time you fired a weapon? I fired one last week, as a matter of fact. I had to retest to maintain my authorized firearms officer designation. It's funny. You and Danny Maik are the only AFOs I know, and I can't think of anybody less likely to shoot someone than you two. He doesn't hunt, does he? Jejeune shook his head. He knew that, like many with a military background, his ex-sergeant's experiences had taught him the value of life. I would guess that when you've seen enough death at close quarters, killing for sport just doesn't have that much appeal. I wonder how he's doing over in Singapore. He's back soon, isn't he? Will you see him before he starts his new posting? Jejeune shook his head. Probably better to wait a while. Something in the undergrowth seemed to catch his eye, and he turned his gaze away from her. The distancing had already begun, she thought. She hoped they could maintain contact with Danny. Before his departure from Saltmarsh Station, he had been the closest thing Dom had to a friend, unless you counted his mercurial relationship with his chief superintendent, DCS Colleen Shepherd. Another gunshot rang out, the echo rumbling across the sky like the roar of a wounded animal. Lindy flinched again and leaned in towards Domenic. If you're uncomfortable, we can go, he said. He looked around the treetops once again and paused, listening. Things are pretty quiet around here anyway, bird-wise. Ones you can enjoy seeing anyway. She looked down again at the body at her feet, nestled on a bed of tawny bracken that surrounded it like a shroud. There was still vibrant colour in the face, shiny red cheeks, the metallic green sheen of the rest of the head. The beauty seemed to heighten the sense of loss for her. Was it the death of the bird itself she lamented, or was it something more selfish? Would she have felt the same kind of regret at the sight of a female pheasant, with its drab brown plumage blending into the foliage around it?